Today, I'm going to be talking all about powders, setting powders, finishing powders, how to apply them. Do you need it? Let's get into the video. Let's talk about first if you need to use powder, who needs to use powder, and then we'll get into types of powders, and then we're going to get into different application techniques. If you have oily skin, you're definitely going to want to powder your foundation. And the reason that you're going to want to do that is you're going to want to keep it in place. If you have oily skin and you're putting wet product on, it's just not going to sit well. It's not going to wear really, really well for you. So you're going to want to set it. If you have dry skin, but you feel like you still want to set it, you can set it, but you just want to go a little bit easier on it, and you only want to apply it in the areas that you feel like you have to, like, you in areas you feel like may wear off, like on your cheek area you may want to because you're going to put a blush on there. So I would do that. I would powder there. If you're somebody who's going to put bronzer, then maybe you're going to do it in those areas. But you could probably just keep your nose and your chin from, wearing like you don't have to apply it on your chin and your nose. So I'm saying for me, I'm going to be honest with you, I usually just put it all over because I get so oily. But I could just put it here, nose and chin, but basically I feel like it's pretty much all over my face at that point. And I also like to put it here, especially because when I line my lips, I'm going to show a video on that too. Another video on how I line my lips. Um, I do that because I basically am putting it on my skin. That's where you want to apply your powder. And there's different ways you can do it. You can use a velour puff. A lot of makeup artists do that. I just find that for me, when I use this to set my setting powder, I feel like I use too much and it just looks too heavy for me. So I'm probably not, maybe I'm using too much or something, but I just feel like there's areas that just don't look as nice. I just really like going in with a fluffy brush or a brush like this, or sometimes I use this. And, what's so interesting is tools are so personal because I see makeup artists, yeah, I see makeup artists using brushes like this to do powder. And sometimes I see you using even flat brushes too to do their powder. I don't think I have one in here. Do I? No, I forgot to bring that one in here. But there's just different. Here, it's brushed like this. Okay, where it's kind of flat like that. So it really just depends. I mean, I feel like tools are so personal, but for me, I've actually been getting into this one more lately. This one is from Laura Mercier. So this is the one that I've been using more lately, but I kind of go in my spurts. But what I will do is I will take my powder, I get it on my brush, I kind of tap it off a little bit because I have too much. You don't want to just put it on there on your face like that because it's going to be too much. So sometimes I will tap it on a table to kind of work it in the brushes, the bristles, or I will take it like this and work it in. You just want to make sure that you're getting it so it's not, see how better that looks? And then I will just start applying it in this area for sure. I will get it up here. And if I need more, I will use more because I know my skin. I know, especially living somewhere where it's humid, like I just know how my makeup's going to wear if I don't apply enough powder. Just like that. Now, like I said, setting powder. This is a setting powder. Sometimes it's weird. There's some powders that will say it's a setting and a finishing powder. That's how that's labeled. But I think that there is a difference between a setting and a finishing powder. A finishing powder is going to be much finer, and a setting powder is going to help to absorb the oils in your skin. So a finishing powder would be something like this. They don't make this one anymore. It's from YSL. But it'll be something like that. Or even my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. This is actually a finishing powder. It says setting powder, finishing powder, but I feel like it works better as a finishing powder. So this does not set for me. It does set my under eyes pretty nicely, but if I use it on my face, it just doesn't. And this thing, I've had it for, I think I'm going on 3 years. And this one, because I only use it under my eyes. So I will take a fluffy brush like this, tap it off, and then I will work it under my eye. That's it. I don't put a lot on at all. Let me take a look and see, make sure I got it on there because I was not looking in the mirror. There we go. The less you have, on your eyes, the better, as far as powders or any of that. And then when I do my lipstick, again, I will put powder here on my mascara. I will put it all over my lip. I will line my lip. Well, you'll see. I don't want to give it all away, but there's just a technique that I do. So a finishing powder, by the way, is going to blur your skin more, so you don't have to use it. Sometimes I do both. Sometimes I will do a finishing and a setting. So I will do my foundation, I will set it. I will do my eyes and whatever and then I will sometimes go back and I will buff it out. I will take my brush and just kind of go through and just kind of buff it out. And then I will go ahead and put my blush on. Where I put a finishing powder is usually kind of interesting because it's in the same areas where I get oily, because usually your pores are bigger there, so it's just gonna smooth that look out. So it's gonna smooth that look out, so that's where I like to put it. You can put a little bit on your forehead here, you can put a little bit there, but that's mainly where I put it. Another thing that I like to do with a finishing powder is if I feel like my blush looks too like it doesn't look really smooth and blended out, then I will go ahead and put a finishing powder on top of that. Now, since I did a cream today, I'm wearing a cream product, I decided to do my cream product first and then my setting powder on top of that. And I can even go back over this and put a little bit of blush, like a powder blush on top, which would help to set my powder too as well. But if I just felt like, I put my blush on and it looks, you know what I mean, where doesn't look really smooth, you can kind of see that line, it just looks kind of sloppy. You can go ahead and take a finishing powder and just go ahead, and you don't have to even use a brush like this. You can go ahead and use a little brush like this if you want to. And then you just kind of, this is what I do, is I kind of go along the edges like that. I go right in here, right in there. I'll use this one because I'm getting low on my Charlotte Tilbury. Go ahead and put my brush in there. So I pick up product. I still tap it off. And then I'm just going to put some right here. Just like that. And it just kind of will blur that area. One that I really, really love, I haven't repurchased it yet because I have so many powders and I don't always use a finishing powder, but it's the one from Makeup Forever and it's the HD powder. I love it. I haven't used the loose. I believe it has a loose. I always use the pressed one and I love it. I love it. Now here's the thing. Powders like that are white, a lot of times they can cause flashback, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's not something I'm concerned about because I don't have my photo taken at, like, you'd have to be somewhere where you're going to get your photo taken at night. So if you're going to be somewhere where your photo's going to be taken at night, then you're not going to want to use a powder that has flashback, because what's going to happen is when they take a photo of you, you're going to see where all the powder is. It looks pretty bad. Honestly, I've seen photos. I don't take I'm not a fan of flash photography, I'm just not. When I had my blog, I had a whole blog post about the difference between the 2, and it's like, I would rather just shoot it raw and then edit it than to shoot it with a flash, 'cause it just never looks good to me with a flash, it just never looks good, so that's not like an issue. So if it's not an issue for you, like you're not going out and having photos of you at night, then you don't really have to worry about it because you're only going to see that if you're getting your photos taken with a flash, and I don't. So it's not a concern for me. Um, so that's the difference. That's the difference between the powder. That's the difference between the setting powder and the finishing powder and the different kind of brushes that you use. Something else you can do, I'm actually sharing in a video before this, but I'll still mention this video in case that you missed it, is that if you have oily skin, you can put some powder on before you apply your foundation. I know it's crazy, but you can do it. Today I used where's it at? I used a velour puff and I put a little bit of loose powder on. So what I did is I took my velour, I put it in the powder, then I just take my hand like this and just kind of work that powder in there. And then only in the areas that I get shiny, I just put it like right here on my nose, on this side, up here, my T-zone, on my chin, kind of a thing. And then I just went ahead and I put on, actually I used a concealer today, but you can go ahead and put a foundation on right over it and then some powder. When you have oily skin, it's not going to look dry and patchy. You don't want to use too much. You want to go easy, and you saw the little bit that I used. Okay, you use the puff and do that. I think the puff probably works a little bit better for that because you're applying that powder, and at the same time, if there is any oil sitting on there, the puff is kind of picking that oil up as it's going along, and you don't want to keep putting it on. Another tip that I have for you is, if especially if you have dry skin, but I like to do this even with mine because I like my skin to look dewy even though I have powder on. I think I'm going to put this on actually. So this is Matte Fix Plus. I love this product. I used to only use it for my eyeshadows, to kind of give it a little extra pop. And what I mean by that, I know this isn't about that, but just so you know, so you're not like, what is she talking about? I will take my eyeshadow brush, I will spray it, and then I will dip it into like a shimmery shadow and then apply it. And when you do that with this, it just gives it more of a pop. That's what it does. It really intensifies it. So that's all I used to use it for, but it's wonderful if you want to melt all those powders in your face. You just take it and just spray it on and it will dry down. And so if you have, you're wearing powder and you're concerned, especially if you have dry skin, you're like, I want it to look smooth, but I don't want it to look powdery. Spray some of this on. It's wonderful. Smells amazing. And if you feel like, oh, you're doing your makeup and you're like, oh my gosh, I need a little bit more blush on, you can still go over it and put some more powder blush on or whatever. Just want to make sure that it's all dry first before you go ahead and do that. That is it. So if there's anything that I did not address in this video that you are curious about powders, please let me know in the comments below. But as I said, not everybody needs a setting powder. If you feel like you do, then I would definitely go easy on it. If you have dry skin, if you're oily skin like me, look at I'm shiny already. So I told you, like, it's okay if and I don't think I zoomed you in like I think I said I was going to zoom you. Let me zoom you in. Like, look, see, I don't look powdery. I don't look powdery. In fact, I could probably put more powder on. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Really hope that it was helpful and informative. If you're new here, I would love to have you join us, share new videos every single week. Please consider smashing that subscribe button below. It is free. I would greatly appreciate it if you've enjoyed this video, it was helpful. Please make sure you like, share, comment on the video. Helps push them out to the algorithm. Would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.